Welcome back to another episode here with Fitness Reborn UK. My name is Nazia Khatun. We are here on Winject Studios on another beautiful Tuesday afternoon. And in the UK, the sun is shining, guys. So go out and get some fresh air, get your vitamin D. It will make you feel 10 times better. We are now coming into a new season. Now, today's going to be I feel very excited actually, because as much as I speak about things that we should be doing around health, emotional well-being, everything that I speak about, mindset, I want to bring on the real proof in the pudding, as they say. Before I bring him on, it's one of my clients. I just want to give a note of background. It's in the thing that I do. People who don't really know me, get to know me now. I'm going to be in your face, by the way. I am Nazi Khatun, owner and founder of Fitness Reborn UK, connecting neuroscience and fitness to make people fall in love with themselves, championing mental health, getting you to step into your better version, the best version of yourself, your higher self, using fitness and pioneering methods and tools to get people to champion coming out of their comfort zone and all things, including potential in life. Because I feel like life is a beautiful gift, and most of us are actually missing out on a lot of things. Me too. I have a long way to go. One of the things this morning, I was training. I went for a walk, and I have these beautiful moments of thoughts and things come to me when you're just listening to what's going on here without being distracted. And we're so how do I call it, fixated on aesthetics, physical image, appearance, self-image, losing weight, dropping weight, looking this way, lean and everything. Really and truly, this is my opinion. Please let me know what your opinion is as well. Join in the conversation. Really and truly, when we become or we're shedding weight or we're becoming this person that our true self is, it's almost like a spiritual exchange of the old self and the new self, the one that we're leaving behind and the one that we're emerging into. Losing weight isn't just about you eating well, exercising. We can all do that, but the real journey, the real transformation happens in the way our mindset changes. And one of the clients that I've been training in I would say the last year or so, on and off, has been the CEO, founder of Winject Studios. And a little background of Chris Ross. Chris Ross is a high performer. He is what we call 24/7, right? 24/7 in the game. And one of the things I respect about people like Chris Ross is they are so focused. They are so disciplined. They go after what they need. But sometimes, and this is a very common, should I say, a problem or an issue most of us have when we are trying to build our empire, or we're trying to go for the things that we want in life, securing our mission, our goal, whatever it is that you want, right? Going after your purpose or being in your purpose, is that we forget our health. We forget ourselves in the game, and then it's quite hard to get back on track. But without health, really and truly, we get into trouble. So let's introduce Chris Ross. I want to get him on. Chris Ross, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was popping
Oh,
up. I was like, which buttons? Yeah, I was making sure that was good. How you doing? You all right?
I'm
Hello,
good.
everybody.
I'm good.
What's up? What's shaking? I saw Gabe on there. Gabe is obviously a massive help with the Winjet community with LinkedIn Lives, and we're first live on
Yeah,
our LinkedIn page on LinkedIn.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. But hello,
Amazing.
what's
You look
shaking?
amazing, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well. Always. This is when the people see, what, obviously the transformation. I mean,
Mm,
they should have, I always drop you in conversations with it. So, definitely have
wow.
helped me on a lot of different type of
Yeah,
ways. It's not even just on the physical of the physique.
yeah.
It's obviously connecting, and that's what you do is extremely well. And perfect reason why I wanted to make sure that we did everything we could do to support you with the community, because we're not just doing Winject as in for podcasting, for live streaming, for TV shows, for
True.
media. We do it all. And this is for obviously helping out, influencers or people of influence, help them build their massive community. And from there, just sky's the limit, so it's exciting.
So I connected with Chris Ross around this time last year.
So
And I
here,
said to Chris, help me with this. you have something that I need help with.
Right.
And Chris turned around and said, well, you help me with my fitness. And I had no clue what Chris was going through during COVID, after COVID, and without going into his personal life, he had put on a lot of weight. And I wasn't surprised when I met you. I wasn't surprised because, you know, when you are going through the challenges of trying to tackle lockdown, there's no gyms open, then you got personal issues going on.
Mhm.
Can you just explain to us how much you weighed and what was going on mentally without
Sure.
the physical exercise in your life?
Right. That's a great question, and I like the way that you framed it. What was going on? I mean, there was a lot of personal things,
Mhm.
obviously, that was transpiring in my life and spiraling out of control. And for the longest time, I compromised my health for my wealth, and it's kind of like one of those
Mhm.
things where you get to a situation like, oh, 10 pounds is not a big deal. You know, "Oh, we'll have this cake and
Mhm.
sweets or whatever that might be," and then you're working yourself tirelessly towards a massive goal that sometimes people can't visualize and people don't understand, and those are the ones particularly you're doing it for, and you end up, you know, making a lot of adjustments, and it's like you give everything you can, and you mentioned that in the intro, and I appreciate the kind words. I am 24/7. I mean, my feet hit the ground, I'm gone. You know,
Mhm.
so I'm a very driven individual. I've never really had that problem, but my focus changed when my health started to deteriorate,
Right.
and it was COVID, of course, and everything shut down. I haven't seen. I'm obviously me being American, being in the UK, not being around a lot of friends and family that I'm used to. I'm very family oriented. And during a span of around like 6 years, I gained around 70 pounds that I didn't know how that. I mean, I know how, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not working out. Obviously, I did have a couple of injuries that kind of prevented me from being able to normally work out the way that I used to. I've always been a very fit individual in athletic and sports, but
Mm.
gained that weight. And then, of course, COVID happened. I started to work on myself mentally, more spiritually.
Mm.
Things started to obviously fall off, started getting myself back into an alignment of what I was trying to produce in my life and manifest.
Mm.
So when that started happening, weight started falling off, but I wasn't still operating at an optimal level, if that makes
Right.
sense. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I saw it when we got connected, obviously we through family and friends and whatnot, we got connected. Even about halfway through my journey of
Yeah.
me, I guess you would say the transformation side, I was looking to not lose weight. I was looking to, I guess you would say, get more into working out in a better way of actually helping my body and cherishing what I have. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Absolutely.
The more the self-love type of thing. And then that's what you helped me with. And I believe now in my journey and where I'm at right now, I'm more myself today than I've ever have been. I'm down to the essence. I'm tapped into my source. And
I
this,
appreciate
yeah.
you. I appreciate the fact that you said, like we never hear men speak about self-love. We never hear men speak about self-care. We just see, the opposite gender as just floating about, and we have a
Yep.
lot more emphasis on female self-love, see female self-care because it's there in our face. Advertising companies,
Mhm.
media, mainstream, it's there. So I really appreciate that. One of the things I, as a coach, have issues with people at your level, at this elite level of performance, is a lot of people don't like being told what to do because you guys are directing, you guys are doing your work, you're making your income. And one of the issues I had to fixate is the language I used with you in the first session and showing you that it wasn't just about go, 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 go. And I had to go through with the neuroscience things and the things that I learned in fitness. It's a very different approach to fitness and helping people heal, getting
Mhm.
over their pain, because you had a lot of injuries as well. We couldn't move on to doing the big things that you wanted.
Right.
And you were very, very frustrated. I remember I was like, okay, let me not say
Mm.
nothing. Let me leave this guy. And I used to get really, really not scared, but it was just being mindful. Like it's an ego thing for a lot of people when they can do stuff that their body was capable of doing.
Yes.
You go through the injuries, you put the weight on, your body needs to recover slowly. Talk to us about that frustration, because that is very important, because the mindset had to change for you, didn't it?
Yes, it did, and I appreciate you saying that. And I'm sorry if I was a trouble child for a little while, but yeah, there was. I mean, But I do remember saying to you at the beginning, like, this is your domain. You know, I don't
Yeah.
expect for you to get in my lane, right?
Yeah.
And obviously what I do for a living and when that area, or at least put your blinker on if you do. But
Yeah.
but this is your domain, and I'm here as as a student. So
Yeah.
do what you wish.
Mm.
But in my own head though, it was a different because
Yeah.
you're having me do things that I've never done before in a way that I've never done it before. So I had to relearn
Yeah.
I guess you would say the normal mechanisms that I would normally have, the reactions to certain things.
Absolutely.
Even with pain, like I'm the kind of person where I will be in a ditch somewhere bleeding and I will never ask for help. You know what I mean? So true story. I don't ask anybody
Yeah.
for anything.
Yeah.
That's one of my issues, right? Because that's what led me to that spot. But
Yeah.
one thing that really helped me, you created a safe space for me to be able to communicate what I was really feeling with no kind of, I guess you would say, repercussions, or even you would have a feeling about something because we were working on our friendship, right? So that was different, but this is business. This is what you do. You take
Yeah.
it seriously, and I love that about you. But that was when you were working on some techniques with me. Mentally in my head, I was pissed because I wasn't able to, I guess, be as flexible that I used to be. And I could understand why, but I also understood, even through growth in business and me being in the head of businesses and going, listen, you're not going to get this outcome right now,
Yeah.
right? It's not possible today. However, if you keep staying focused on the small things of what you can control. So I put a lot of trust with you on that piece where
Yeah.
I wasn't focusing on what I couldn't control. I could only focus on what you were actually teaching me, so.
I think that is the most important part, is one, learning about my clients, how teachable, coachable they are, no matter how much they know. You have to
Right.
come in as a clean canvas, and I have to treat you not according to your social status or wealth status, because we treat people different, and it's very hard. And that's the honest truth. Sometimes we get intimidated by somebody's celebrity status, or how famous they are, or how rich they are, or how wealthy they are. And for me to actually create that safe space was knowing who Chris was about, with all his injuries. And I guess trust and vulnerability is such a human thing for us as humans. And as a fitness coach, is for me to understand what the components I needed to help you, given the fact that you already knew a lot about yourself, given the fact that you already knew what was working, but not knowing what wasn't working was my job then to come in and say, okay, let's get you routined, get you back into routine with your
Right.
food, for supplements, get some more sleep in, have a morning routine where you're stretching and breathing and doing eye movement to get you to eliminate the pain as well in the parts of the body that was injured from previous times in the past. What was the most challenging thing for you on the program, would you say?
That's a great question. I would have to.
Especially working with a female fitness coach as well, because
Yeah, it's difficult. It's different. It was a
Yeah.
different dynamic for me because I've never done
Absolutely.
anything like that before.
Yeah.
I would probably say the most challenging was trusting that this is a process.
Right.
Because I'm an uncommon thinker that produces uncommon results in a lot of areas in all aspects of my life.
Yeah.
But in this type of area, I had to humble myself and knowing I don't know shit. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, and that's a hard thing but that's a true sign of actually growth, is understanding that there's still more I need to learn. I love learning. That's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think that was the hardest part and most challenging, was just trusting that this is a process.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing, just like you ask people to trust you and you know what you're doing. You need to give that same type of respect. And then most importantly, even you mentioned a female male type of dynamic. That's a hard thing for people, because most people, of course, people see things out there in the world and like, oh, they must be like dating or something. You know what I mean? And that wasn't obviously that dynamic, that extra level of respect that needed to be there for trust on both sides of that relationship, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And I think I stopped training men for many years, because it's just that it's just weird and it just creates a
I can
very
understand
not
that.
pleasant, yeah. So for me to actually feel comfortable in a space, in a man's space, is also very important, how I deliver the program and how you receive
Sure.
that program as well. So thank you so much for opening up on that. So let's go back to when you were weighing 70 kilograms more heavier. Do
Pounds.
you remember pounds? Sorry, not kilograms,
I
pounds.
don't know. I don't know where I'm at half time. I have to turn, like, even when you have scales, I have to turn it to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the
To pounds,
American,
because I don't know. I can need a calculator. Yeah, but go ahead.
American and the UK differences. So do you remember how you felt at that stage when you were that big?
I was awful.
Feeling,
I think, even obviously I'm Muslim, right? So we're both in I grew my beard really long, and I learned
yeah.
that was my way of hiding, like
Right.
like comfort.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. So that kind of gives you a little bit more indication of what was going on mentally with me.
Yeah.
My mental health wasn't in a good spot.
Mhm.
The things that you tend to ignore, okay, I'll leave
Yeah.
it this way. The things you typically try to ignore, sweep underneath the rug, the more that you do that, at some point there's going to be a tipping point, and the
Uh-huh.
universe will force you.
Absolutely.
And that's where I was at in my life.
Yeah.
And when everything, all the stuff that in my life that happened and it brought me to my knees, I realized that was exactly where I needed to be in the first place. And
Mm.
that was a humble pie that I had to eat.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
me taking that in and going, okay, if you don't do what you can't do, right, there's no issue. But if you don't do what you can do, you're a walking, talking disaster. So I want
Yeah.
everyone to think about what I'm saying right now. It's a really deep comment, but
Yeah.
that's something that really stuck with me. And I
Mm.
know that I could do it. I was making excuses. Oh,
Yeah.
I tore my ACL in half. I can't do this because I'm working US hours. I need to obviously get more sleep. But that's all bull shenanigans.
I think also as well in your situation, or for a lot of people that are entrepreneur running their own business, one of the
Hmm.
things that they can probably relate to is it's hard when you get stuck in a place with your physical body. And
Yes.
then it's hard when you have to acknowledge that there is something fundamentally wrong, which then prevents a lot of people to reach out for help.
Yep.
And then to ask for help from people, it's like you literally have to take yourself away from who you are with work and come back down to this ground level of just being a human.
Hmm.
And when we first met, it was very difficult to understand where you were emotionally.
Hmm.
And then when I got to know you a bit more by having those deep conversations and surface value levels conversation as well, it gave me an understanding what needed to be done. When we were going through the process, what was your breakthrough actually?
Oh man, I love this. Is my favorite part of the story. I tell people, I didn't realize how much trauma that I was actually holding on to in my life. And I
So I
think
want to stop you
the
there.
somatic markers and stuff like that. But go ahead. Yeah, that's just my
Yeah,
favorite part. Yeah.
I want people to understand that gaining weight just doesn't happen overnight. Chris just said there was a lot of trauma. We're not going to go into the trauma, but
Hmm.
trauma related, anything to relate, it relates, it will show up in your body and it will get trapped sometimes. Sorry,
Hmm.
I just wanted to add that on.
Yeah, it's somatic markers is a real thing. I
Mm,
think when you were even talking about my posture, like, right, I'm sitting down now, but my desk goes up and down. You know what I mean? So I'm usually
yeah,
standing up when I'm just working. So I'm trying
yeah,
to stay obviously fit and active and
yeah,
moving around.
yeah,
Because sitting down, I ended up at some point you had me stand up, and I remember standing up, and then you're like, look at me, and then you did the eye movement thing, and I
yes,
remember you talking about it was my shoulder. And
yeah,
I realized, obviously, the great Dr. Ruth. I love Dr. Ruth. She's got Brain Health Show on Winject
yeah,
Studios, over almost 2 million downloads right now. It's crazy. She helped me release and unchain some of the traumatic experiences in my life. And
yeah,
I did it as in all aspects, right? I went
mm,
all in. I miss how I met Mark Jenkins and Greg Gatos and all these guys, right? So when I started doing this, that when you identified that there was I wouldn't say a lump, but there was something that was like pushing my shoulder down. I thought it was from a football injury of me
yeah,
dislocating my shoulder twice. It wasn't. I was holding on to traumatic experience.
And every time you did a push-up,
Yeah, but pop.
you
Yeah,
flared up. Yeah.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
have to go back to getting the pain out of your brain and then getting your body to work again. And this is one of the things a lot of personal trainers don't do. And one of the reasons why we don't attain sustainable results is because we haven't worked at the cause, the root cause of working out what the problem is. We just work with the symptoms. So going into the cause and flushing out whatever that was, we were able to then work on the building blocks with you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in pain now on that shoulder at the
No,
moment?
at all. I don't have, and I work out. I work out every day. I'm back to where I guess you would say I used to be. Like I guess with
Wow.
like 7 years ago, I was at the lowest I was ever been. Like more of a box. I boxed forever, and that's something else we had obviously
Yeah.
in common. I boxed in the Navy, but I wasn't in a situation where I was in good health, but I was down to a certain weight. But the process for me, when I started shedding all these layers, I started
Yeah.
to discover more that I needed to do, like in
Exactly.
other areas and all aspects. I wanted to become completely all into one and all into alignment of
Yeah.
even what the stuff that I teach and obviously what I do in business, like one
Yeah.
heartbeat, one mission, one outcome. I need to make sure I'm clicking on all cylinders. And then when you
Yeah.
were obviously working, and that's where the self-love thing was the massive shift for me. I started
I
to
love that.
not love myself. I started to love my imperfections as well.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm.
Isn't that amazing? And I think also what you just said, that actually let's just touch on this then. Working and training, how did that help you in your business? How did
Oh
it
yeah,
help you?
it
Talk
just
about this.
intensive. It put like rocket fuel on what I was working on because
Mm.
it gave me a chance to zoom out. Like entrepreneur, if you need entrepreneurs out there, like the real ones, right? But the entrepreneurs out there that are actually grinding and pushing and doing what they need to do. Sometimes you need to zoom out
Yeah.
and so look at things from a different perspective, and you might be seeing things unclearly because most entrepreneurs, they suffer from this, but especially when they're building something they're passionate about, and that's obviously tied into it. You can get ugly baby syndrome.
What
And
the hell does that even mean?
what I mean, there are ugly babies out there, right? So there's like, oh,
You're
just look at my baby. I'm like, so right, it's a true story. So that's awful, but
You're
you
gonna
get
offend a
ugly
lot of
baby
parents
syndrome
out
with your
there.
business, right? And be like, oh,
Yeah.
this is gonna work. This is gonna work. But what that did, it allowed me to look at things a little differently. And then I realized, even with Winjet, I didn't just want to do for media. I could do it for people of influence and people that don't have, I guess you'd say, the understanding or the knowledge on learning how to build a platform for themselves to reach more people. And that's where I got the idea of, obviously, with you. And I was like, oh my God. So in the business side of it, I just came all into one. And now I'm just like, let's rock and roll.
I love that, because when we miss the foundation of the physical body, we actually miss out on a lot of opportunities that are right there. And for you, it was tapping into the sources, the different, how do I say it, the lanes. You don't just have to be on one lane. You can actually go on different avenues to actually make it happen. What was the biggest lesson that you learned on this program then?
The biggest lesson is that I owe it to my future self to make sure that I'm staying on course. And if I hold myself accountable to a lot of things, and even lately I've learned something about myself. And I just recently went through, obviously, the end part of obviously stuff in my personal life, and it's now beginning, and it's just, anyway, got a long run to go. But I learned that when I deal with things, I kind of go into a hole. And what I mean by go into a hole, that's my way of is going into business and working myself into the ground. I learned that, okay, I need to back off. Like even the last couple of weeks, I immersed myself because obviously Winject's live, and I want to make sure things are always in place. But the biggest lesson I learned is to make sure that I'm doing my daily checks on myself. Am I drinking enough water? Am I eating enough snacks? I like to snack, right? So I'll eat like a lot of like good stuff, I don't eat after a certain time anymore. I am conscious now of the effects of certain nutritions of
Exactly.
foods that actually the cause and effect that it has on me. Right. I learned if I'm not checking in myself mentally, spiritually, even financially, you find yourself in a situation, you have your go-tos, like
Yeah.
you have your comfort food, or one great thing about being in the UK, the Chinese food sucks. That's one of my comfort foods in the States. It's
I'm so
just
glad.
so it wasn't accessible, but we did find Busaba. That's a great, that was a great place. It's so I think the biggest lesson that I learned is that I need to continually check in on all aspects and make sure they're in alignment to get me to whatever I'm going after,
And you know what's really interesting? You can be a millionaire, you can be the top dog in the industry. And it's always having someone to be, how do I say, accountability is so important, right? Like for me
Trust.
to be for me to be accountable to you to grow in my business, and then for you to be accountable to me with your health and fitness, right? Do you feel it made an improvement in your life and having somebody check in on you in that
Yes,
aspect?
I did. I mean, it was even more on a personal level because, I mean, you develop relationships, right? And you get really close because obviously you're, and I do the same thing in business. I get emotionally involved in a lot of the business opportunities I do, and some of the shows that I launch, I'm emotionally involved. Like Dr. Ruth, how much she's helped me. I love her. I'm going to treat her show with more respect than I'm going to treat my show, just because that's the kind of person I am.
Yeah.
But I think it was a massive shift for me is when I know that there's a lot of people counting on me.
Absolutely.
That's a big thing for me. And
Yeah.
it's not about me letting myself down, but here's the trick that I learned. It's not, I'm letting myself down first. I'm letting my future self down.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
it's almost like a lot of people forget that it's a duty. You have a duty of self-care for yourself. Without you being number one, without you being priority, you're not gonna have and develop those relationships that with your loved ones, family, work, your mental health, your mindset, and everything. And I think there's a lot of illusion out there that we are constantly positive and everything. And really and truly, my job as a coach is to get people to manage their emotions through food, through these tools and the techniques and the
Right.
resources that I give them, the coaching. And I too need help. And it's very, every now and then again, I'll be like, okay, I can't fit in. Looking at my own plan, I need someone to actually design this for me. So I just show up. And one of the things that you did that was really beautiful on the program was just showing up, right? Just showing up, be there, be present. Even if you had a bad day, you showed up. There were times when you were exhausted, when you're doing UK and US hours, and you probably had like half an hour sleep. And you came in, I'm like, what do I do with Chris today?
No, I remember you said something to me.
Yeah.
At one point. I remember I went to you just when you were obviously coming to the gym I have right upstairs, but I got over there and you were like, "Did you eat today?" I'm like, "No, you know what? I forgot." Shit.
I was like, what?
Because you're like, "What is that? How does that happen?" I'm like, I was on calls like 4 a.m. I was not just grinding because I was like in my mind. And that's obviously I don't recommend this to anybody. I mean, you can compromise any aspect of your life, but if you do it more than you probably potentially need to, your body will end up telling you, and I think when obviously with you, and I was going with some of, I guess, being underneath your tutelage, I guess it would be the right word. I needed to remove my own self and my outside world, but you do have an amazing presence where, I mean, I have to say this. I mean, and I want everyone to understand, because I don't think people understand that transferring energy is real, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
like it's shit's real. You do have an amazing type of vibe where it's a comforting but still don't mess with me kind of vibe, and that's where I think that really aligns with the women that I've obviously was raised by, my grandmother, my mom, and all. It was a comforting thing to me, because I knew that we can take this shit anywhere we want to take it. You see my point?
Yeah,
like you can be hard on me. You're not scared to tell me, yo, you're messing up. I need you to do this. And and once that trust was built, it just kept establishing. And then it went from there. I was like, how do I repay this woman on what she,
bless.
and that's where I started looking at all the things that I was doing. I was like, how could, and that's always going to be something that I didn't even tell you for the first 2 weeks what I was working on for you, you know? And then I was like, here's my idea. And you're like, what? Right. So, but it's been fun.
I loved it. It was meant to happen. But listen, I don't want to take this long, but summarize why it's important to have maybe a coach. What difference has it made in your life in the last 6 months?
Life is all about
especially for men.
Right. Life is based upon your perceptions and your realities and your experience and events in life and exposure. If you don't have someone else that has their own events, exposure, you know, perceptions in life and experiences, there's things that have happened in your life that hasn't happened in my life that might change my perspective. See what I'm saying? So not having, I guess, there's 3 conversations that happen when you're having conversations. There's a point of view conversation. It's based upon your, I guess, your expectations, what could have, should have happened. Then you have your egotistical one, my all-time favorite, and then also the emotional conversation. But then that also is happening in a dynamic when you're working with an individual, and especially when it's a difficult situation, because it's kind of like an embarrassment or shame that you've gotten yourself to that spot, if that makes sense. But then allowing yourself to zoom out and understand, listen, I need a coach to help me reverse engineer this, because I'm not comfortable of looking at it in this way, because there's something else I'm not looking at. I've obviously gotten to this spot, but then humbling yourself enough to go and listen, I need help.
Wow, you just said something really, really profound and deep. It's the shame element that we attach to who and what we become, because we have this persona, this presence that people, the perspective from other people, and we try to keep that up. And that's deep. That's really deep, because even me as a fitness coach, my body's changing. It's changed a lot in the 10 years. And how people perceive a fitness coach, how people perceive fitness people, and who you are really is 2 different things. So that is, I think we need to talk about that, actually.
Yeah, I don't think we've actually I don't think we talked about it. As something that, you know, I write a lot, right? I mean, I put a lot down on a piece of paper, because there's a lot of thoughts that obviously go through my head, and most of them are scary, but it's, but I'd like to sit back and reflect on things. I mean, even now, like I'm about to move into a new place, and me sitting back and reflecting on, I'm excited about the next chapter of my life. I'm so excited, because I feel like I'm more myself today than I ever have been. I got the best compliment from my mother, like, you know, about 2 months ago. And she said, you're like yourself, used to be and excited about life when you were like a little kid. Like she always called me our happiest kid, because I was never upset. Only time I was upset is when I had to come inside. Right. So, but what I'm basically getting at is, if you, just a shout out to, I mean, everybody out there. And if you feel like you're struggling, or you feel like you're trying to achieve something that potentially you can't communicate and articulate that to the world, I would highly suggest there's one thing that's free, and that's sweating.
One thing that's free, and that's sweating, and walking.
That shit's for free.
Sweating and walking is free as well.
Right? Yeah, that shit's free. So I mean, because here's the problem I do see with most fitness people. They'll go and work out, and they put AirPods in, and now they're listening to something that they shouldn't be. I like to be alone in my own thoughts, so I challenge. That's how I got Winject came to my mind on a run. So when I went on a run,
and most great ideas come.
I had it was nothing going on, and that's where that's what's obviously transpired since then. But yeah, this has been fun. Thank you for having me come on for this.
Absolutely loved it. It's amazing to have different people from different backgrounds talking about reviewing actually how they changed, and seeing the way you are now. I mean, we've still got this year, so we've got to have new goals.
Oh, I'm not done. Oh, I'm not even got started. By the time the end of this year, I will be in the best shape of my life. I promise you.
Amen. Inshallah.
Right. I'm going to kill it. I'm on fire right now. So, but I appreciate it. Guys, make sure you go check out her site. It's what is it? Winject/offers Nazi Khatun. You can find it in the show notes and all this other stuff. Go check it out. You get 3 days for free. 3 days for free. Yeah, you got tons of videos in there. We're about to scale it. It's going to be fun. Yeah. Right.
The fitness community, education. And then we've got Chris Ross, Winject Studios, content creators, people who ever need the message to be put out into the world. Hit Chris Ross up. If you need help, hit me up. Until next week, stay happy. Go and enjoy the sunshine in the UK or wherever part you're from. And we shall see you next week.
Peace out, guys. Much love.
Podcast is brought to you by Winject Studios. We are an all-in-one educational platform for podcasters that revolutionizes how hosts leverage content to increase engagement with listeners, downloads, and income. We come together to focus on community, collaboration, and collective impact. For more information on how you can interact directly with our hosts, access exclusive live content with offers you can't get anywhere else from our official partners, join our purpose-driven community by visiting www.winject.com. If you're ready to build a career doing what you love, then we're ready to see you there.